Good morning, afternoon, or night, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Spidevil, and you know what? With the new release of the Assassins patch, it really got me thinking that there are so many different improvements that League tries to do, but then it doesn't do too well. It's sort of like this in-between that kind of occurs, and I'll go more into that in a different video. But for now, there's a lot of things that League is really hitting high notes on, but unfortunately there are some lows too. But then it really made me stop and think, well, what are some indefinite ways that League of Legends can actually succeed full-fledged, no flaws involved? It's absolutely perfect, and it's a wonderful addition to League of Legends. So I actually thought about it for a while, and I came up with 5 different things as to how League of Legends can actually improve dramatically, because I feel like the community can actually benefit from some of these different ideas, and maybe you guys would share your ideas. Who knows? So with that being said, let's get started. Number 1, training mode. So picture it like this. It made me really think about some of the different games out there that have like dummies, such as World of Warcraft, Super Smash Brothers, and we kind of wail on it to compare numbers and to really test out the limits of what we have as a build. And you know, it really made me stop and think, why doesn't League of Legends do this? So here's an idea that I have. Why not in one game mode, it's called training mode, and it would be a character in what, a tiny little map or whatever. It's so condensed. Then there's you and the dummy, or multiple dummies, however you want to adjust it a little bit, and then you actually could hit this dummy, but because you have infinite gold, infinite build possibilities, you can change runes and masteries while you're in this setting, and you can look at a graph to see what's your DPS. Maybe you can look at all the different damage that you receive because the dummies attack you. You can set that a little bit. So with training mode, what it allows to do is to see how you would actually perform in game. And I think this would be an absolutely huge benefit to have in League of Legends, especially nowadays where runes and masteries have to play a huge role into how your character performs. Maybe you want to go full on DPS, but you don't know how to hit that critical sweet spot. Maybe you want to go for armor pen and just flat damage, but you don't know what are the consequences of not having defense. In training mode, this would allow you to have those questions answered, and then you can look at the statistics behind it. Maybe you can also spawn in a Baron as the dummy, whatever the case being. And here's the fun part, you can also have it be multiplayer, so that would be you and 4 other people, let's say, and then you would come into this room, and then you would actually test out theoretical team fights. They have that kind of in ARAM, but this is more of a controlled environment. Maybe, hey buddy, you should go adjust your runes right now, and then while in training mode you can adjust it and then try it out from there. This allows for a more personal experience going on between you and building this superior character, and some of the different possibilities can exist. So that's one way that League of Legends can actually improve, because why not? Builds and runes and all that is a huge thing, so I would think that would be a huge benefit for everybody, and people would honestly enjoy that. It'd be a compliment to everybody's build and such. Number 2, stop making champions about the map and more about combat. So I have a problem actually with some of the different champions that are being presented. Now with Talon, let's say, he's my biggest offender of this, but again, that's a later video. His assassin's path, where you can hop over walls, or the dragon, space dragon, just flies over the map. Talia just using her ult to just go across the map and whatever. There seems to be a theme that League of Legends keeps trying to hit, and that is map mobility. Now, granted, I think that map mobility is sort of an important piece in League of Legends, but it shouldn't be the defining moment for every single champion out there. Really though, like with Talon, he only has his Q and his W, and that's all he can really do, because they wanted to focus a little bit more on his movements through the maps and maybe able to jump over and gank. If League of Legends can find a way to stop making it about just moving and just more about combos, and I think that's what really counts and how League of Legends truly shines. Take Katarina for instance. She's able to hop over walls still with wards and such, but it still counts as damage. Whereas with Talon, he just hops over a wall, but he can't hop to people anymore. And that, to me, makes me think that League of Legends tries very hard on just making it about map presence, when really each champion should have to fit into a certain mold of just being able to team fight successfully. So I'll give you some examples of what I think what that means. So you can have map mobility and you can have damage. Riven Q over the wall, Nidalee W over the wall, Kassadin flash over, or not flash over, but his ultimate over, Katarina warding over, Lee Sin using wards to hop over, and it all serves in combat. But with Talon, my biggest problem with that is that it's nothing but hopping over the wall, and I don't understand where that decision came from exactly, because there was something pretty cool about him jumping on a champion and did a little bit of damage, maybe a quick little silence. There was something unique and assassin-like, cough cough, about Talon. So from henceforth, if League of Legends can find a way to incorporate that but yet keep the combo in check and make sure that champions actually have some semblance of team fighting going on in their kit and not make it about just map mobility and map control, then we got something pretty beautiful here. But yeah, Talon, in my opinion, really gives the defining moment of why League of Legends can't precisely make an accurate and excellent choice in some champions. So don't see Talon in the middle. He's not going to be that well played. Katarina, you got your Rengar, you got your LeBlanc a little bit, but don't expect Talon. And League of Legends, let me say it one more time so that's nice and clear. Stop making champions about the map mobility and give the guy a kit. Number 3, give us new maps and customization. So before anybody throws out the chroma or, oh, well, you guys already, they're changing the map and everything, let me be a little bit more specific. I'm talking about a new, brand spanking new map. Give us a new announcer voice. Give us something different. Look, I get it that they wanted to be able to just stay with the same routine. They want to be able to stay. Why fix what isn't broken, right? Here's the thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, Summoner's Rift. It just feels sort of vanilla after a while. I want to look at something really new and interesting. And what's sad is that League of Legends is pretty creative. They're really creative people. Yet for some reason, I don't know why they can't harness that creative juice and put it to where it counts. There is chroma skins, and there's just skins. There's just the skins, which awesome, but do something else now. You change up minions and their hats, and that's kind of a cheap way of having customization. I'm talking a full-fledged new area that can have the same map structure. Doesn't necessarily matter. Give us something brand new to look at. We have Piltover, we have Ionia, we have the Twisted Isle, which the 3v3 map really is one thing, but I'm talking like a full-fledged 5-on-5 map. And once upon a time, they did have something called Magma Chamber, but unfortunately, it never came out, and I wonder if it's because people are just going to be critical of the thing. And look, give us something brand new. Also, on top of that, speaking of which, character voice packs. Like, why don't other announcers come in? Look at Smite, look at Dota, look at every other MOBA out there, except maybe Heroes of the Storm. They're a little bit of a special vanilla right there, but I'm not going to touch that. But they offer unique and different changes, but you have perfectly good voice actors on champions. You're a really huge, like, giga company. You can hire celebrities to come in and do different voice packs. Why not any of that? It's my understanding that League just is afraid of any drastic changes. And yes, they do change the jungle and they change some of the mechanics of champions, but it makes me wonder that the only thing that they focus on is just ARAM maps, which really is just kind of stupid. And I'm so sorry that it's happening that way, but I don't know. They need to flesh it out a little bit more. Number 4, create an anti-toxic mechanism in-game. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I say this with all due respect. League of Legends has no handle on the toxic AFK situation. They just don't. Now, thankfully, it's not like this gigantic epidemic where everybody's just quitting and everybody's just doing that and that. But there still is an existing punishment to players that if somebody were to be having a pre-Tyler 1 thing going on, then you lose your LP, then you lose, and then you're sad because you got demoted, and there's no mechanism in place to counter that. So by creating this mechanism, which I'm not going to go ahead and say what that looks like because it's a very complicated process, but maybe, here, why don't I do this? I'll give you sort of the skeleton of it. My suggestion is that if a player leaves, and not, they already have that, but it's more towards if they just quit the game, rage quitting, then your LP just drops. When you lose, you actually lose a little bit, but most of the punishment comes on the player. but that's just a rough draft idea off the top of my head. There are a little bit more components to it, but League of Legends is perfectly capable of coming up with those components because they already have something in place where you can actually exit the game or surrender the game, but then that's only when there's an AFK player in the beginning of the match. Yes and no also, because it doesn't also address the AFKers that are just so mad and they want to leave. We need something in place to be able to counter that. So if you guys can do that, then your game is essentially just perfect, and it fosters positive relationships in this game that you have to be able to communicate with one another, because being toxic rewards them, does not reward yourself. Does that make sense? Number 5, custom games, sandbox, and replay mode. Any of these things would be beautiful. In a time where replay is actually a pretty nice tool to have, and where sandbox mode, where you can just adjust around things, maybe bump up the minions' health to a lot. This kind of goes hand in hand with training mode, but they're actually separate entities. Training mode is more of like self to team, how they interact with damage and then some of the different builds and stuff. But with sandbox and a theater mode or a replay or whatever, it allows something completely different on the table, that maybe perhaps it's a constant stream of minions or no minions at all. Maybe Baron spawns a lot earlier. By having these adjustments, we can find a perfect custom mode to play, and people are really smart and they can come up with these different things. You know, like think of ARAM. How was ARAM born? Well, it was because people just played on the middle of a map originally on Summoner's Rift. League of Legends caught wind of that, and they just had a test map where it was just a straight line, and then suddenly they started to decorate and build upon it. Give us something like that a little bit, except give the players control of it. Because if the players have that freedom and control to be able to do these things, now what you've done is that you've set yourself up into a beautiful scenario where players are creating games for you. And I think that would be actually a pretty cool thing. Not to mention, for some of the content creators, they can go ahead and record, and then it looks all theatric, and there's a sort of a camera mode going on, and it allows and fosters beautiful creativity in League of Legends. So if they have something like that into place, I don't doubt that there would be like little fan-made movies, or they would just have these cool little animation things going on in between, and it would be really awesome. Or maybe that they have the control to make the game that they want to, but then they have this sick game mode that everybody loves. Like, I know that hide and seek was one of them. That was actually pretty cool. And yes, there are Doom bots. Maybe you can incorporate that too. Maybe you can just add in bots that are like Doom bots, except those little tiny little changes that are necessary. Give the players the creativity to create and to sort of have... Create was actually the solid word. That's just the beautiful word of the day. Create. Give players creative control, and then you will have something. It's like pretty much a factory that works for itself. Anyways, guys, that was my top 5 things that League of Legends can do to improve the game. If you have your different ideas that League can improve the game, please share it in the comments below. Until then, my name is Spidevil, and if you liked what you saw, be sure to support the channel by either liking, subscribing, or sharing. Hit me up on Facebook and Twitter and all that nonsense, and I will see you guys next time.